Steven Crowder and the Daily Wire are duking it out.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This time.
Are you ready to get down?
ladies and gentlemen,
What's up, everybody? I'm Quisha King. Welcome back to my show. Yes, it is Quisha with a Q, and thank you for watching. So today we're going to be talking about this craziness, Steven Crowder and the Daily Wire. Normally, I don't talk about things like this, but when it is important, I think we should talk about these things even though it's drama, because it is very important. And I think it speaks to a bigger problem that I have seen as a conservative within the party, within the movement. And so let's just jump right into it. Okay, so Steven Crowder, I believe he is the most he is the biggest conservative influencer. He's a comedian. He does the Change My Mind episodes. You've probably seen him with the table and the sign. And very trying to go into culture, which I talk about that all the time. That's what we need to do, dive into culture. And he left the Blaze. He was with Blaze TV, and he left the Blaze, and basically he was a free agent, shopping around for another home for his talent. The reason why this is so important to me, because I used to be in the music industry. I have signed a record deal before with a small record company, and then I was offered a major record deal by a major company, and I did not sign that agreement or that contract. And I always say that politics reminds me a lot of the music industry. It's very grimy. It is very self-serving. It's a lot of different things. I mean, like many industries. I'm not, it's like many industries. Of course, the music industry is much worse than politics, but it's a lot of that griminess. It's you don't expect it coming in to a conservative environment. You don't expect a lot of the things that you see once you get in. And I think that is a problem, because as conservatives, when we're saying we stand for this, and that, and most of us are not the left, but when you see certain things, you're like, wait, what's going on? Not saying that anybody has to be perfect. All of us, fall short of the glory of God. We all have our mistakes. We have all, done things that, we're not proud of. Nobody's looking for perfection. But when these things happen, if we're going to have a strong movement, we do have to address things that need to be corrected. The Bible says that God chastens those whom he loves. So, sometimes there's going to be some admonishment when things are not going right. And as, fellow conservatives, sometimes we do have to check one another. Iron sharpens iron. There's just many instances of the Bible where, we're supposed to do these things. And, so Steven Crowder, he does this video where he was offered this contract. He did not say the name of the company that offered him the contract. In fact, he said, there are many people that are in this space, and I got many calls. So it could have been, sometimes there are, we know the bigger names, but there are people even behind the bigger names that may have been offering him. So, you just never know. So I think it's unfair to say, oh, we just knew that it was a Daily Wire. Now, certainly the Daily Wire, Blaze, we kind of could deduce it wasn't Blaze because he had just left Blaze, but no one still knew for sure who the company was. That's that. But yes, people were speculating. And he was saying that he was offered this contract. And his gripe was that the contract seemed to be helping big tech, which many conservatives, if not all of us, have had problems with, being shadow banned, being censored, our content taken down for no reason, just all of it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And it's, when you have a contract that is sitting in front of you, and this is supposed to be, because Jeremy Boring, who is the co-CEO of the Daily Wire, came out and said, yes, that was me. I said what I said. Okay. He really took it, was kind of gangster to me. Like, yeah, let me just set it straight real quick. That was me. I said it. It was us.
And the answer is yes, that offer did come from the Daily Wire. I'm not trying to hide that fact. I'm not ashamed of that fact. In fact, I think it's a very good offer. But I think there's a lot of sort of misconceptions about.
And no, I don't have a problem with the contract or the term sheet. Excuse me, the term sheet. No, I don't have a problem with it. And here, he ran it down. So I think okay, first, I am an artist. I am a singer. I am a songwriter. I will always be an artist. Now I have moved into another field where this is an art as well. This is where you are finding your, being an influencer, so-called influencer, being a conservative, being in this space and doing media is certainly a talent. It is certainly a space where you have to, you use certain skills to do this well. Now, I am by no means in, the Steven Crowder, Daily Wire, even their hemisphere. Okay. Which, whatever, it's totally fine with me. God will put me where I need to be. But as an artist, you see it one way, and then as a business owner, you see it another way. I've owned businesses. I still own a business. So I can see both sides. Here's the problem. As this movement is growing, we have to be careful about how these contracts and things are structured, because this is not new. If you remember, back in the 90s, rappers, it was a big deal. All music, a lot of music artists had these problems with these crazy contracts where they were literally screwing the artist, the talent. And that's you can't just wave your hand at the talent like a dime a dozen. No, good talent is not a dime a dozen. No, it's not. That's why it's very few people that do well, because good talent is not a dime a dozen, and you absolutely should be compensated for your work. Now, good business people we need those people too, in order to make this movement work. Because I say this all the time, behind the scenes, we have to have our people in our places so we can have a fully functioning good machine. You need good business people. And the talent, the business people, the PACs, the donors, the patriots where we are manning our walls, we need to be working well together, especially when we have so many things against us already. So Steven Crowder's beef was that, hey, you're going to take away my fee when I get censored. Boo, I like that already happens. Like, I am already censored. And I hear people say, well, he just needed to go and scratch that out. It's like, okay, well, if we're really friends, first of all, you already knew that. You already knew I was censored. So why even try me in the first place with a contract that didn't even start out? Like, we can't even start out on a playing field that makes sense. Like, why are you even coming to me with a contract that has things in it that you already know? I am, especially one of this magnitude. Now, two things. People are like, $50 million. Oh my God, well, you should just take $50 million. Let me break it down for you in a way that is a little more, just let me take it out of this context. Beyonce. Let's say Beyonce makes $100 million a year. Okay. Do you really think that these business owners have not done their due diligence when they want to book Beyonce, when they want to sign her to a record label? Do you really, back in the day it was Columbia. Do you really think Columbia, if they were trying to sign her, would not know how much money she already makes? They're good business people. They're going to already know how much money she's making, and they're going to know what situation she just left. So they're going to try to get all the details of the previous situation that she was in, so they can have a good idea. Okay, like, ballpark, what are we looking at? So I would bet, I don't know this for a fact, but I would bet you that Daily Wire knew around about what he was being paid and what the terms were at Blaze. I would also bet they know about how many Mug Club subscribers that he has, because that's another thing, and we'll get into that in just a second. They're not going to go into this situation blind. That's my point. So for them to even step out of the gate with a contract that said, I am going to be docking your salary, which he has to produce his own shows. He has to pay his own salary out of this. It was $50 million a year, $12.5 million, $50 million for 4 years, $12.5 million per year. I think it's like $65,000 per episode or something like that. 192 episodes, I think it was. But out of that cost, he had to pay his own staff, healthcare, travel, airfare, all the things that it takes to produce a show of his magnitude out of his cost, where he was already banned. And so you already know that this talent is edgy. You know that this talent pushes the line. So for them to be friends and even step to him in the first place with a contract that doesn't even seem to, like, we can't even get started on the right foot. I understand why Steven Crowder felt like, you tried me. I get it. I totally get that. At that level, he has more subscribers than the Daily Wire. Now, does he have more investors and finances? No. Or the infrastructure? No, but he certainly could have access to it for sure. Anyway, so they stepped out on the gate, to me, a little trifling, if you ask me. Now, that does not mean that Steven could not have negotiated and all those things. But Steven, being a business owner himself, probably has seen this thing happen time and time again. And if you listen to what he was saying, he was like, this is not really for me. This is for the young people coming in.
There are more than you would probably assume. So I went into free agency. I looked over the offers. And I saw the clause come out. And I don't just mean unreasonable demands for control, but what I would argue are immoral terms that actually punish conservative content creators on behalf of big tech. And that's something that I just couldn't unsee. And I want to let you know, it's not the exception. It's the rule. Kids out there coming up. We need to build a bench here in this movement. It's almost impossible. Don't sign these contracts. I now know what you are signing out there. I have the luxury of not having to. I don't have to be here. I don't have to say this. Please, don't sign this. Certainly not without professional legal counsel representation. Do not sign something that includes, let me go through this.
Because everybody is like, oh, well, all he had to do was just get an attorney and just scratch out, and then we are negotiating. You move a little this way, we move a little that way. Okay, so this is just like, again, the music industry. When young talent is coming in, do you really think they have the money to have an attorney? No, they don't. And that is how these big record companies were able to take advantage of them until independent artists and independent labels started doing their own thing. This is kind of what we're seeing. So we're just seeing it early in the conservative movement. You are seeing talent say, you know what, keep your contract. I'm going to grind. I'm going to get it out the mud myself. I'm going to build up my own thing myself because I don't want you to have control over my work. I don't want you to do that. Now, granted, some people may sign with, a company because it works out better for them. I'm not saying that the Daily Wire is, terrible business people. And I think they do have different philosophical views, because obviously Steven Crowder was like, this is about saving a country. I understand that because it's more than just fighting the left. It's more than just, business. And you'll hear that a lot, because I hear this in this space. Oh, well, it's just business. Oh, it's just politics. Well, let me tell you something. For a lot of us, it's not just politics. It's not just business, because these policies are affecting our children. they are affecting the next generation. A lot of these older conservatives, they have raised their kids. Their kids are grown and their kids aren't even conservative themselves. And so they are the ones responsible. These boomers are the ones that are responsible for the crap that we're trying to claw our way out of today. But they don't have a dog in the fight. So they already made their little deals. So for the younger people coming into this who are still raising children and want to lead a country with a semblance of the American idea, yeah, this is more than it's just business. It's just politics. And another thing, this whole idea of thou shalt not speak a bad word about another Republican. First of all, I wish Ronald Reagan had never said that nonsense, because that's why we have the foolishness that we have today. Now, I'm not saying that we need to just go dragging Republicans every chance that we get publicly, but you do need to pull some coattails sometimes. And sometimes you do need to speak on things publicly. And furthermore, that ain't in my Bible, this 11th commandment. It ain't in my Bible. And sometimes you just need to say something. Anyway, moving on. I believe that Daily Wire has obviously done some great work. They have done, What is a Woman? That was really cool. They're making kids shows. That's really cool. They are trying to affect change in the culture. They are trying to do what they need to do. Obviously, they see this thing a whole nother way. Well, we're just going to, if you have to compromise a little bit, to stay on YouTube. Okay, cool. I think I understand that as the older people that are in this movement, but for a young person, which I think that's what Stephen was talking about. He said it, not for me, for the young people coming in. He's like, for young people in a corporate environment, you're going to see how other people move, especially young people. They're still trying to figure it out. They're still trying to, they don't know everything yet. So when they see other people say one thing on camera, but behind the scenes they're like, oh my God, I can't stand this, the vaccine or abortion or whatever the case is. They have a much edgier, a much stronger view than what they're portraying on camera. And this person is a big personality. You don't think that the younger people coming in aren't gonna understand and peep the game that's going on? Okay, yeah, let me follow their lead. That's what young people are going to do. And so I think many people are missing what Crowder was really trying to say. Not that it's like, okay, Taylor, you're just terrible, and you completely just lay down for big tech. But if you are punishing conservatives who already get punished, you're financially punishing them. How are we supposed to read that? What are we supposed to do? Now, I understand that Steven Crowder, he does use YouTube. He does use big tech, but it's not a matter of like if you're using it or not. It's a matter of creating the mechanisms and the spaces and the avenues, rather, that we can move away from these people. But if we are constantly not standing up for what we believe in, and then being silenced on top of that, being shadow banned and taking our the finances and things being taken away from that, is big tech going to get the message? Because we always say vote with your feet. We always say, buy from people who don't hate you. If you see what I'm saying, like, it's a conflicting message, because if we're saying that and at the same time, in these contracts, we're like, well, we really don't want you to, we're going to dock your pay if you get silenced, which these people can come up with anything. I'm can't monetize on Instagram now, but I don't even know why. Who knows? I don't even know. I'm demonetized on Facebook. Don't even know why. Have no idea. I can't even run ads or something right now, but and I don't even know why. And then periodically I have to go back in and request a review. Typically they remove it because there probably wasn't a legitimate reason in the first place. But with somebody like Steven Crowder, with these bigger names that have bigger platforms? Are we supposed to contend with that? And we got to worry about, not only I got to pay my salary, I got to pay, I got to pay for my staff, I got to pay all these things out of, from this partnership that I'm in. Now I have to worry about the company, me losing revenue. Okay, so here's another thing. They're like $50 million. Okay, first of all, Steven Crowder, they are estimating that he has about 350,000 Mug Club subscribers because of how YouTube has been doing him over the years. So it's not just that they are taking controlling his, that in that term sheet they were saying that they wanted to control his media, they wanted to be his voice, and in some cases in perpetuity. That means forever. Forever. That is very difficult for artists to swallow. That's very hard for artists to swallow. I don't care how cool we are. That's hard. You want to have my name forever? You think that it's easy? Look at Prince. Look at Michael Jackson. Prince had slave written all on his face because these contracts, they felt like they were getting screwed. Why would we bring that same business mentality into the conservative movement, which we're trying to build? We're trying to build each other up. Now, again, I think that you should always be a good steward over your business. I think you should be a good steward over your talent. But at the same time, it's like we gotta we don't have to do things the way the world does. Like, we don't have to do things the way the grimy music industry does it. We don't have to do it that way. There are multiple ways to do things, and we should be learning from how they did things so we don't do that to our own people in this space. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with treating people with some dignity and respect, and respecting the talent that they have spent years, people like Steven Crowder, that they have spent years building? What's wrong with that? They were going to not just have the control of his social media, but his subscribers. And they would, those would they would once the contract ended, they would no longer have them. But you have to understand, you have to go and get them to come from over to that place back to you. And that may seem easy, but it's not. It is not. And let me tell you something here. Come. Let me tell you, the Daily Wire is not stupid. They know that. They know. If they didn't think that he was, some people are like, oh, well, he basically, you should be happy with the $50 million. Not when I know that my Mug Club alone makes me more than that. And I'm going to be building your business even bigger. So do you really think that the Daily Wire went in there thinking, okay, that he's not really worth $50 million? No, they know he's more than $50 million, but they want to be the ones who receives the excess of the 50 million. They want to be the ones who receive the difference. And I mean, yeah, okay, I understand. They are putting an investment into him with marketing and infrastructure and those types of things. I'm not saying that it's wrong to, try to grow your business. I am saying that you don't have to do your term sheet, your contract. You don't have to do it that way. You don't have to start out with some nonsense. And, it's just business. For a lot of us, it's not, especially for talent, because many times these are God-given gifts. These are God-given gifts. And, you're not going to be able to find another, a person that's just like such and such, because it's unique to you. Now, can you go and find something else? Absolutely. Yes, you can. But let's not pretend that the Daily Wire doesn't know that Steven Crowder is worth more than $50 million. They know that. And I guarantee you, if they were a bigger company, they would have been willing to pay him more. Now, maybe they don't have that capacity, but don't act like they don't know that he's worth more than $50 million. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been. Come on. They know that. And so, this other thing, too, we are at an impasse in the Republican Party. We are just like what we saw with the Speaker of the House. You have these establishment people who like things just the way they are. It's just business, it's just politics. They don't care. And then you have a lot of like the younger ones of us, like, no, we want a country. We want a country that we can raise our children in. We want a place where, communist is not knocking on the freaking front door, and the people that who say that they're with you actually go and vote and do business and run their PACs and donors. You want to have trust in these people. You want to be able to have trust. Oh, and that brings me to the recording of the conversation. I feel like there's a lot of things that we don't know in that window of time when he recorded, like from the different meetings that they had. And there was something that made him want to record that conversation. I don't know what that is. On the face of it, it seems like, he should not have recorded the conversation, but I don't even, none of us know. We're just speculating on why he did it. And maybe we'll find out more later. But, I really wanted to talk about the business side and how this ties into the bigger picture of you have this establishment and you have, what we call the grassroots. You have the people who, we're fighting for something more than just, the influencer platform. You're fighting for something more than just, to be an elected official. So you can't, waiting for your first lobbyist meeting to screw the people. Many of us are sick of it. Many of us realize some of y'all just as bad as the Democrats. And we want more for our families. We want a country that resembles what we grew up in. We want something better than that. We want to be able to leave our children better off than what we found this country. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm not. And so, we can have these philosophical differences, but let's not act like those things don't exist. Let's not act like there aren't Republicans, conservative Republicans who are part of the uniparty. That's a fact. You can't tell by the way they vote. You can't tell by what they say behind the scenes. You can't tell by what they do, what they believe. I don't like people where I can't tell where you stand. I don't like that. And I'm not saying that the Daily Wire is like, in lockstep, but what I'm saying is we need, when it comes to this behind the scenes stuff, we're trying to build something where we can give enough pushback to say, no, we're not doing that. Actually, we have other options. We are trying to create other options. And we're not going to be able to do that properly if we got these crazy contracts where you're literally making it easier. I'm not saying that the Daily Wire is like in lockstep. I'm just saying you're making it easier for them to continue to do what they do. And this is, the digital space. That's where it's at. That's what's happening. And the older Republicans, they didn't build it. They didn't build it so, us new people coming up, that we could just walk right into something that's already established. They didn't do that. So we're trying to do this now. All of us, Stephen, Daily Wire, Blaze, all of these different companies, all of these influencers, all of the people are all trying to, in some way, shape, or form, push more into culture, have a legacy that is worth something to leave our kids in this country. And, we can't operate like the evil music industry. We can't do that. You're going to make people lose hope if you continue to do that. Look at Crowder. He's like, I'm about done. And regardless of what you say, oh, he was just doing this to build his audience. And the Daily Wire was doing what they offered him to build their audience. Like, what are we even talking about? Yes, he has a right not to sign that contract. He has a right to strategize and build his business. They sure enough didn't have a problem lowballing him and having these with their first offer. So why all of a sudden now we want to get all self-righteous? Please. Look, I'm just saying, I think the Daily Wire is doing some cool stuff. I think Steven Crowder. I mean, I really don't even watch. Honestly, I don't really watch a lot of the Daily Wire stuff. I don't watch a lot of Steven Crowder stuff. I'm talking about this instance, and I'm talking about this as a bigger picture. So you can save all of your. I'm not on either side. I really don't have. I'm not. I don't watch either one of them like that to be like, oh, this, have a side. I don't. This is true. My thing is building this movement because this is bigger than that. We are already having this, as we saw it in the state of the speaker or the Speaker of the House election, where the younger people are like, no, we're sick of the crap. No, you're going to have to. We need some concessions here for us to vote for you. You're going to have to, all this funny business. We don't have time for that. The country is hanging on by a thread. The Constitution is literally hanging on by a thread. We're like on the cliff, okay? We don't have time for these games. This is what I wanted to say. Sometimes when you're accustomed to the way something goes and people deviate from that, it seems strange because it's the way it's always been done, regardless of if there is a better way. So sometimes we're just accustomed to things that you just go along, get along because, hey, that's just the way it is. That's just business. That's just politics. But we don't have to mimic the world. We don't have to mimic what other people do. Like, why don't we try to do something better as far as these, business situations are concerned? That's all I'm trying to say. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Please go ahead, hit that subscribe button because like Steven and the Daily Wire, I'm trying to grow too. So I will see you next time. Bye-bye.